and also by my lovely pro-ents, Eva O'Byrne over here.
Hi.
We're going to be talking to our four wonderful panelists about all things sustainable fashion. We have here in the Zoom, we have Tara Stewart, we have the Doyle Twins of Depop, and we have Liz Hunt of @preloving it, a fashion blog on Instagram. And we are just absolutely so excited to be learning from the experts here on a topic that's so important to personally for me and Eva, and also to the entire society. Just really quickly, a little bit about the Hist. The Hist is a Trinity society. We are functionally a debating society, which means we're interested in a whole range of different things when it comes to like important issues, just like sustainability. And we run weekly debates on all these kinds of topics, which means we've got a very broad, kind of far-reaching, wide perspective on things. This panel today will be running. Basically, I'll just do this small introduction and then I'll be asking our panelists to give just a few words on themselves and their career within sustainability and also outside of sustainability. And then we'll be moving on to about 2 or 3 broad questions which will be asked by Eva, and they will be put towards all four of our panelists to answer, and they can give substantial answers or whatever they would like to do. And then we'll be moving on to our 3 categories, which will be kind of solutions to fast fashion, which will be first of all charity and vintage shopping within Dublin and also Galway, because we've got a lovely panelist from Galway, Liz. And then we'll be moving on to Depop and its rise as a sustainable platform for selling clothing. And then we'll do like a little bit on DIYing and upcycling old clothes, just so I can learn from these guys how to fix all the cropped tops that I did over quarantine, which are just horrible looking. If they have any tips, that's completely for my own benefit. Yeah, so that's kind of how the panel will run. If anyone has any questions, you can pop them in the chat function. I can see we've got participants here. Just pop your questions in the Q&A function, and Eva will be monitoring it the whole way throughout the panel, and we will leave at least 10 minutes, probably 15 at the end for questions from the audience. So you can absolutely participate and interact with all of our wonderful panelists, just like we have the honor to do. So yeah, I think that's everything I need to say for the beginning, and I think I will hand it over to our panelists now, just to give a small brief description of what they do in the world and what their role is. I think we might start with, I see first the Doyle Twins. So do you guys want to give a description of who you are?
Hiya, my name's only Jane and this is Isabel, and we were in the Doyle Twins Depop. We're both students here at Trinity. Well, not here, but in Trinity. I'm studying physiotherapy and Isabel's in law and business. We're in 3rd year now. And we are big fans of sustainable fashion. We've had Depop since we were probably like 16, we're 20 now. We just kind of used it to buy and sell stuff. And then like last summer, wasn't it? We kind of like, we were like, oh, we could try to make some money. And, you know, we had a lot of clothes, like our wardrobe was packed. It was ridiculous. So we were like, oh, we could try and sell some stuff on Depop. So we started, we were lucky that there was 2 of us. So one person could model and one person could photograph. So we started selling some stuff, and then we were like, oh, wait, we're making a bit of money here. So then we started sourcing some stock. And then over the last year, we've kind of been doing that. And then once we went into lockdown then around Corona.
Yeah, that was when it kind of became a job.
Yeah.
So that lockdown and everything kind of helped our business, because everyone was forced to online shop, and we think people had more time to think about sustainability and sustainable fashion. We've kind of just been developing it since then. We've started wholesaling vintage clothes, hand picking from wholesalers. I think a big part of our shop is we try to run it as a social enterprise. So 10% of our profits are donated to varying charities, depending on what's going on. At the moment, it's going to St. James's Hospital Foundation, just for all their amazing work during the pandemic. So we try to promote affordable fashion so that it's kind of can compete with fast fashion and high street fashion. And then also give a little bit back to some charities. So that's kind of our goal and what we do.
Wow, I really love the shop as well. It's like, if anyone, even, I know we were plugging things already, but if anyone is interested in ever buying anything that's 2000s inspired, there's so much content on their shop, so definitely check it out. I can hand it over now to Liz, maybe, to give a little bit about who you are and what you do when it comes to sustainability.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm a sustainable fashion blog based in Galway. I study in NUIG. And before I went to college, I was like, I want to do fashion, obviously, but I don't think I'm like the next Marc Jacobs. So I decided to do social science because I just love social justice. And yeah, we study a lot about environmentalism, sustainability, and that was handy for me to learn about it. And then I didn't even, when you're young, you don't think you can like intertwine your passions like fashion and sustainability. So I joined the fashion sock and we do swap shops and upcycling workshops. And yeah, I've always like put up pictures of my outfits and stuff of my friends. And then I was like, why don't I just make a cute little feed on Instagram? And yeah, I've just been enjoying like promoting local businesses in Galway, doing a bit of modeling and promoting people's work. So yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. I am obsessed with your Instagram. It's so aesthetically pleasing and also informative, and those two things are like the ideal combination. So absolutely gorgeous idea and entire vlog. Big fan. And then finally, can I hand it over to the wonderful Tara Stewart to give a bit about what you do in sustainability and in your own life as well?
So I'm Tara and I am a DJ, podcaster, and radio presenter. So I have a radio show on 2FM, and then I'm also just a big vintage and charity shop lover as well. And so I also have a podcast called Dirty Laundry, which is all about sustainable fashion. And I kind of decided to start that last year when I kind of wanted to learn more about sustainability, because I'd always been into like vintage and charity shopping, but I was only into that stuff because I just loved the way it looked, and I loved, buying clothes that were really great quality and all, like that kind of vibe of the 90s and 80s and 2000s. But then when I realized that actually like there's great social justice and climate stuff behind all of that, I kind of wanted to learn more. So I decided to just start a podcast and invite guests on that I thought were really interesting and had each kind of like a different kind of story to tell. So I just I've almost finished up my second season of my podcast. I've got one more episode coming out this week, and I really love doing it because I've just learned so much from all these people. And my kind of journey with sustainability kind of started like in terms of knowing the dangers of like fast fashion, for example, started about 2 years ago, when I kind of just learnt loads from following, say, Sustainable Fashion Dublin, who are now actually called Use Less or Useless. I don't know what the trick is of their name, but one of those, Taz and Geraldine, anyway, that's the two girls. And like, so they're two pals of mine. So I kind of just started learning loads about through, reading all the stuff they were putting on Instagram, and kind of following more and more people that were into that kind of thing and sharing really fascinating stuff. And the only reason I got into fast fashion was because through DJing, funnily enough. And so I was being offered to DJ for like all these big brands, which was great. Press gigs are amazing for a moneymaker for me. Well, they were before COVID. But now it kind of then started to become really cool because I was getting gifted all these clothes, and it was like, do you want to wear this while you're DJing? And then I started to get paid to wear the clothes, and like in an ideal fab world, it was like amazing. And then I also loved that, annoyingly, they were really size inclusive. And when I say annoyingly, it's like I wish more sustainable brands were like that, not the fast fashion brands. So that's what drew me to them. I was like, okay, great, I can get stuff that's trendy and cool, that I see on the high street. I can get it in my size, and I really loved that. But then when I genuinely started to learn loads about the dangers of it and the bad side of it, I just couldn't do it anymore. And so I ended up counseling, working with those brands, and I haven't worked with them since, haven't shopped with them since. And at the time, it felt really nerve-wracking doing that because it was such a big moneymaker for me in terms of DJing. Even the influencer stuff they don't even pay you that well for that kind of thing. But the DJing was really great. And I get to DJ cool parties and all, it was all like really fab like that. But I just couldn't live with myself to be part of this kind of problem of, influencing and encouraging people to buy that kind of fashion. So that's my journey into sustainability, pretty much.
Wow, thank you so much. I've listened to that podcast just like obsessively over the last few days, and it's just incredible and so informative. And I feel honored that I'm interviewing you, but I'm just
Awesome. Well, thank you for listening to it.
It's very, very good, especially that episode with Taz and Geraldine. The
Mhm.
three of you are like powerhouses, just like so much information and in such a cool way and engaging way. I really would recommend everyone go listen to Dirty Laundry. And you're just an incredible presenter. And I can really appreciate how difficult it must have been to make that switch, especially at such a like pinnacle moment in your career that like it could have all come crashing down. But I think you've built up such a more important network of people who believe in your new image of sustainability and how you promote like kind of moral values alongside style values, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. I have no regrets ever making this decision now. You know, looking back, it's been so worthwhile, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Wonderful. So thank you so much for those introductions. I'd now like to pass on to Eva to ask some of the broad questions, which we will put to the panel in that order, I suppose. So go ahead, Eva.
Hey guys, just saying hello again. So really a lot of people don't understand what sustainable fashion really means. So what do the words sustainable, slow or conscious or mindful fashion mean to you? And how would you explain the intersection of the climate crisis and clothing to someone who has never even heard these words before?
We can start with the Doyle Twins.
Yeah, we'll start with the Doyle Twins, please.
So we look at sustainable fashion as kind of a movement. We don't look at it as just looking, oh, we need to change textiles, or we need to change working conditions. It's this whole that when we're thinking sustainable fashion, we're like, we need to make it trendy and cool for people to want to buy secondhand clothes. So slow fashion is a little bit more, we use the word definition as in it's not going with the super fast trends that are super easy to buy on those online websites. But sustainable fashion to us is more of gathering momentum behind this movement to change. I think people, when explaining it to other people, then you do have to go back and look at, you know, the harmful side effects of fast fashion. You know, CO2 emissions, sweatshop, all the kind of technicalities. But what we're looking at, like especially, is really kind of pushing this movement of sustainable fashion.
Very, very cool. Liz, do you have anything else to add to that?
Honestly, I agree with everything the girls were saying, but I think for me, the word sustainable has kind of lost its value in the last few years. It's kind of been greenwashing people, enticing consumers. I know in pennies, I know how great it is for them to use the words, but it's still like not good enough. If the pajamas has sustainable cotton, but if the workers aren't getting paid, it's not truly sustainable. So sustainable to me would be workers are getting a fair wage, and all the resources, you know, are, because like our planet only has so many resources, like we're limited, so it's either like recycled or secondhand. And there's that pyramid as well. It's like how sustainable, like obviously your own clothes is the most sustainable thing you can own, and then secondhand, and then your friends, and it kind of triples down the ladder. So sustainable is like the whole pyramid.
Yeah, and Tara, how do you explain to people, particularly who work in the industry with you, why you've decided to make such a leap? Because I can understand why a lot of influencers nowadays would be more inclined to work with fast fashion companies because they're so common. How do you explain why you've chosen to be so sustainable?
Well, I think it's more so like I just sharing the positivity and the amazingness behind sustainability. And when I say that, I mean like through vintage shopping and charity shopping. Like a big thing for me was not wanting to, I just felt really genuinely very guilty by promoting and having a swipe up link to go and buy this pair of trousers I was wearing. And I mean, before it clicked in my brain, it was deadly. Obviously, like I was like, I'm working with a global brand. This is really cool. But then I literally, I mean, it just hit me one day when I literally had read a particular article and I just consumed all this information in one day. And I've had about 3 or 4 posts left with a particular fast fashion brand that I had, and they'd already paid me for it. And I genuinely felt sick to my stomach thinking, oh God, I just felt really anxious that in fact I had to post 4 more posts. And I was like, God, I have these clothes there that I need to take pictures of. And even the fact that they actually send you like so many clothes, like they send you as many clothes as you want. And then even if say something didn't fit me or if it was broken and I would say, can I send it back? They'd be like, no, it's fine. So it was just even just as an influencer, so wasteful within that sphere, aside from me encouraging people to actually buy the clothes as well. And basically I just next day I was like, I actually just can't do this. And I didn't even talk to my agent about it. I just went straight to like the brand, because I'd kind of already known them before through DJing, like I said. And I just said, listen, I can't promote this anymore. I've just learned a lot about, you know, your business and this world that I genuinely didn't know about before. And they were like, well, we have our organic cottons, we have our, you know, all this, you know, greenwashing stuff, which we see a lot of, unfortunately, on the high street and in fast fashion. And I just said, well, that's not sustainable. You know, like still being made in a factory where people are getting paid a fair wage. The clothes are still aren't great quality. They're going to break after a few washes. So it's not actually, you know, that's just greenwashing. So then they asked me like to pay the money back. Well, I offered, actually, sorry, I said, do you want me to pay the money back? And they were like, yeah. So they gave me their bank details and I paid them the money back from the posts. And like I said, at the time, I was like, what am I doing? Am I ruining a really big career thing for me? And then after a couple of weeks, I was like, no, I definitely did the right thing. And so that's what I would tell. I genuinely tell that story to my friends and to people that I say work with, and that changes even their way of looking at things. And I know I've definitely influenced even people close to me to change the way that they look at it. And they're like, geez, I didn't even look at it that way. And especially I think it's hard for women because men are just like sustainable without even intending to. Like, you know, they're not sold. Like my boyfriend is so sustainable, and he literally is like, he doesn't intend to be. Do you know what I mean? Like he'll have a jumper for years and years and years, but women are sold this, we need to have something new all the time. We have to have new seasons. We have to have a whole new wardrobe for autumn, winter, summer. And it gets overwhelming and stressful. And then especially when you have an online platform, you're like, I need to keep up with all of this. I need to be cool and all that. And especially in college, I would say, you know, when you guys are in there, you want to look the trendiest out of everyone. So I think what's great at the moment is I'm finding, and maybe it's different for you guys because you guys are a little bit younger than me. I say a little bit. No, I'm really joking. You're a lot younger than me. I'm finding that thrifting and sustainability is becoming so on trend now, which is brilliant. But on the flip side, I'm seeing fast fashion brands making clothes that look thrifted and look secondhand. And I'm like, oh, that's not the point. Like, do you know what I mean? They're making it look like it's 90s and 80s and noughties clothes. So I've gone on a total rant there. But basically, the first part of the story is what I would tell people, because I do think that changes it in their mind when they're like, Jesus, I took such a big step. I think it definitely helps influence them in a positive way.
For sure. And just kind of like developing on that point, for all of you guys, is there any form of durable or long lasting and versatile pieces that you've added to your wardrobes? Like perhaps like I've realized that like coats and shoes are particular items where if you invest in them, they last for ages. So for you guys personally, is there any items you'd advise people to just invest in because they last for years, starting with the Doyle Twins?
I would say a good leather jacket.
Yeah.
I know some people may not like wearing leather, and if you don't like wearing leather, you can wear like an oversized blazer, which you can get in a charity shop for like a tenner. But I think a leather jacket just goes with absolutely everything. You know, it's expensive at the start, but like we have a 50-cent rule where if we think we will wear it down to as much times as it will be 50 cents per wear.
Yeah. So if something costs like a $5 to buy, we're like, let's see if we can wear it 10 times. Is it worth it if we can wear it 10 times and get it down to 50 cents? Okay, obviously that doesn't work for like events when you want to buy a really nice dress. In general, that's kind of our rule.
That's a great rule.
Yeah,
I find with jackets as well, it can, sometimes I'll like put together a really nice outfit and I'm really proud of it. And then I'm like, oh, now I have to put a coat on. Yeah. And I realize I'm going to be out and I'm going to have my coat on the whole time and my coat I'm not as proud of it. So I find with the leather jacket, it always just adds, it never takes away.
You can wear a skirted dress, trousers, tracksuit bottoms. No, not tracksuit bottoms. Yeah, that's a leather jacket's definitely our thing.
For sure. And Liz, what would you say is your durable or versatile item that you would want to invest in?
Yeah, obviously mom jeans. I think everyone has a good old pair, and I've had mine since I was like 16. And I think like a pair that is kind of like a bit like too big as well, so that you're like comfortable sitting down and you're not like, I want to get out of these when I get home. So yeah, just a comfortable pair of mom jeans.
Oh my God. Speaking of mom jeans, just to interject, sorry, over quarantine, I had this one fever dream and bought these jeans from Bershka, because I think I've been looking for a pair of jeans for so long, and I was just like, it was like 2 a.m. and I bought, and then the next day, or when it came in the next few days, I was just so angry at myself that I'd done it, and didn't fit me well, and they were way too long, and I was like, this is karma for buying fast fashion. And I sent them back and I didn't ask for another. I was like, not at all. But I think jeans are one of those things that are like, people are always tempted to buy something from fast fashion because it's so hard to find like charity shop jeans that end up fitting you in the right ways. Like especially for like I don't know, like different figures. So sorry, that's my little story there. Sorry, Liz.
No, that's great. And as well, like if you have a pair of jeans that don't look so cool anymore, I started like painting on them. I'm not the best painter, but you can kind of get like stencils and stuff that you can start doodling some sunflowers and all that. So yeah.
Very cool. And for Tara, what items have you found to be good investments throughout your years?
I will say on the jeans thing, as a curvy girl, it's fucking hard to find. Sorry about me swearing. It's hard to find good jeans, especially vintage. Like I have 3 pairs of vintage jeans that I was like, yes, I'm going to wear them today, and they're really uncomfortable. But the best thing to do is to get them altered, because I think it's nothing better than when you get a pair of jeans altered to be perfect on your body, and then it's just better. It's really good. And also sizing up, like Liz was just saying there, and then wearing a belt with them, that kind of thing, so it's more comfortable. But there's nothing, and even I have a pair of Tommy Hilfiger jeans that I got from a vintage shop, and I've gotten them altered so many times because they've got holes in them and all that kind of stuff, and I think they look cute still. So that's a big thing to make it fit better for you. But in terms of a staple pieces, I would say leather jacket, but then also my big thing I love are varsity jackets, and I just love bombers. Like I have loads of bombers. Even the other day I went to Nine Crows with my boyfriend, and he was like, I want to show you this bomber that I saw in the shop. And we went in and I saw this gorgeous green bomber. That's it there actually. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, I need that bomber now. Oh my God, I'm going to get it. I was like, I'm going to get it. I will. And he was like, that's the bomber I want. And I was like, oh, okay. And because it's so hard for guys to shop vintage, because you know things need to fit properly, I was like, fine, you can have it. But I was so devastated. Honestly, bomber jackets are so great. I have a few of them all in different colors, so they go with different outfits. They're perfect for like autumn as well because they're warm. They've got loads of pockets on the insides and the outsides, and I just think they really, I know, they just make an outfit look really cool. So that's what my staple would be.
Very, very cool. I think we have time for one more broad question to squeeze in. And really, I just want to ask you all, how do you get inspiration for your outfits? Is there any particular eras or celebrities you look to when you're vintage shopping or sustainably shopping, or do you just kind of freestyle it?
I suppose we'll start.
Yeah.
I'm watching a lot of, I didn't really jump on the Friends bandwagon until this quarantine. So I've gotten into watching a lot of Friends.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of on that buzz at like a bit of kind of the Rachel and Monica, like they just got it so right, like all the time. And I'm also a big fan of Isabella Verana she's a Depopper, like top 5 seller Depop, and I'm just obsessed with everything she wears. And if I see she's wearing something, I like look up on Depop, I'm like, oh, like the like exact description, so I can see what, like if I can find one. So she's kind of my inspiration at the moment. And then we like Pinterest as well.
Yeah, I would say Pinterest gets a bad rep for being like, I don't know, what's the word? Like, I don't know, like American girly. But I have fashion boards on Pinterest, and it's really good because you pin something and then it will give you suggestions that are similar or different or styled in a different way. And you can I go through it then and I see things, wide leg jeans, I've been pinning them a lot and I didn't even realize I liked them. So that really does give me it's kind of like a mood board of clothes.
Very fair, very fair. Liz, on to you.
Yeah, Pinterest is one that I use for Depop as well, because I know that like Depop isn't like, as soon as you go on it, you can't get what you want straight away. So it takes a while. And then like in your mind, you're like looking out for it. And then I think just, it's so bad to say, but I think TikTok has subconsciously like altered my ways, that, which is like not what I want, because it's just not cool. Or some of them are cool, but like then it's like people like getting like fast fashion hauls and it's just like loads of clothes and I'm like too overwhelmed and like I want it all. So I think just freestyling it, because I'll get too overwhelmed if I'm looking for like too many things.
Very fair.
On
what-
the TikTok thing, I will say my algorithm knows me very well now, and all I get are just thrift hauls from girls in LA, and I just like I want to move to LA and just become like
Such a
full-time
mood,
thrifter.
honestly.
So yeah, and like I obviously the odd time I'll see a fast fashion one, but now I try to swipe by them really quickly, so I'm not like, so I don't get more of that kind of stuff. So I will say TikTok, I've been getting so much inspiration for thrifting stuff, getting ideas, because like so many people, I just love the creativity behind it. I think it's really making people get more creative with because everyone's not really doing much these days. And then like the Doyle Twins said, Pinterest. I love Pinterest so much. You can spend hours and hours on there getting amazing information. And like you were saying with the bad rep thing, I think when you first search something, the first page you land on, usually it's all shite. But then once you find one picture that you like, then you have all the suggested underneath. It's really great. So I think Pinterest and TikTok would definitely be my two big places for inspiration. And in terms of like eras and celebrities and stuff, I loved like 80s and 90s supermodel style, like Naomi Campbell back in the day. Like her style was amazing. And then you have like Missy Elliott, Aaliyah, like I think 90s female hip hop doesn't get enough credit because the fashion and style in there was just so incredible, and the stylists from that era are just amazing. So that would be where I get a lot of my inspo from.
Amazing.
Amazing stuff.
That's here with you, Eva. We might move on to the charity and vintage shop section.
Mhm.
Thank you guys for all those incredible answers. And yeah, kind of developing on that, I think the TikTok, specifically your TikTok, Tara, just because this next question is about that. Your TikTok is incredible, and I think it's really good for promoting that kind of sustainable, like where to buy sustainably in Dublin. And I'm just like love all the your fits that you create with your finds. I was trying to think of my favorite one, but I really just like those purple and blue trackies that you've styled like a couple different ways. They're so like shiny and like really eye-catching, and those two colors go really well together and fit all the rest of the colors that you wear so well that I'm like gorgeous.
Thank you.
Obsessed. But I was wondering, do you think that charity and vintage shops are a good sustainable alternative to fast fashion, and where would you say are the like hot spots in Dublin that people should visit for charity and vintage shopping?
I definitely do think they are. I kind of have noticed there's been a lot of, feel like vintage shops and Depop are getting a bad rep these days, where it's like, where people say, I mean, people are saying that vintage shops buy from charity shops and they mark up the price, and that's just not true. Like, I mean, and also with vintage shopping, I mean, I do have an advantage because two of my best friends own vintage shops in Dublin, and so I know exactly how they work. I mean, Nine Crows, they've got their thrift shop, they've got their normal shop. The normal shop is all hand selected pieces. It's all hand picked in like a warehouse in Italy. And it's all considered pieces, whereas the thrift shop is all bought in bulk in big bales, and it's just put out onto the floor. So that's why they can afford to put a lower price tag on the thrift shops, and it's all higher prices on the normal store. It's the same with Depop, and I mean the Doyle Twins will know a lot more about this because I'm not a Depop seller, but it's the exact same, where you're finding curated pieces. You're finding the stuff that is going to be in your style from these shops. And so it's kind of cutting out the middleman, where you don't have to go through all of these rails and rails of clothes in a charity shop. You can actually find really great pieces there. And that's markups happen. That's how people make money. And in terms of vintage shopping in, say, like Dublin Vintage Factory, that's all by kilo. And the reason why they can do kilo pricing by kilo and pricing by weight is, again, because they buy everything in bulk. It's bales, and then they just put everything out on the floor. And that's kind of how that works. So I definitely do think charity shopping and vintage shopping is a great alternative. In terms of charity shopping, it's kind of a funny one at the moment because you're getting a lot of fast fashion stuff in the charity shops these days. And it's like, well, that stuff isn't going to necessarily last that long. But I do think, again, for some reason, and maybe because people are doing clear outs of their wardrobe recently, there's a lot of great stuff in charity shops again. And I feel like maybe at the start of this year, last year, there wasn't that great stuff because it was just kind of full of fast fashion. But again, I'm finding really great stuff. And it also depends where you shop. I mean, if you're going to be in the middle of town, people are in there all the time, so it might not be as great. But if you go like Rathmines, Phibsborough, those kind of places in Dublin, like I think they're really great. Galway charity shops I think are amazing as well. I really love them there, and the vintage shops there too. So I think, yeah, I mean, if anyone could correct me if I'm wrong, but I definitely do think that vintage and charity shopping is definitely a much better option than buying something from a fast fashion website anyway.
Yeah, I absolutely agree, and I think that was really well explained, because I have heard a lot of arguments against them, and it feels, I don't know, I always thought they were a good thing. That's a very helpful explanation, I think, for everyone listening and everyone watching, and for all of us here, and even for myself. Specifically, I think kind of in lockdown there was, you know, lots of everywhere was closed, and all of the shopping was happening online, and that means like TikTok became, and like just influencers became, the only source of inspiration that people got, and there was just so much like promoted ads. I think that there was a massive surge in online shopping for fast fashion sites, which is obviously not good at all. Do you think, this is for Tara again, I think since you made that switch from fast fashion to sustainability, what do you think? Do you think there's a responsibility on influencers to be conscious and mindful of where their clothes have come from and the kind of brand deals that they enter into? And like, do you ever feel pressure to maintain a perfectly sustainable wardrobe because it's become like the new thing, like part of your image? Yeah.
Well, in your first question, yes, I do think that influencers have a responsibility because they're called influencers. You know, they're meant to influence people in their lives. And, you know, obviously in the day and age we live in and this world we live in, we can never be 100% ethical and 100% sustainable, because, like, you know, everything's run by the big corporations. But we can do our bit. And that's a big thing I want to say is everyone just has to do their part and do their bit and do what they can. Don't ever feel overwhelmed or stressed about. It's hard not to feel that way, but like, you know, you're only one person, I'm only one person. But I do think influencers should be a lot more conscious of that. And I did notice it a lot more over lockdown. Even I was kind of feeling a bit overwhelmed watching so much. Like, it was like, oh, look at all this loungewear I'm buying right now. And it's like, just wear an oversized t-shirt, like it does the same job, you know, you don't need to buy a whole nother two-piece. So yeah, influencers definitely, I think they should just be a bit more conscious of it. I get, obviously that's the way I'm making money. I'm lucky that I have other things like DJing that I make money through as well. So it's not like I was just, you know, getting rid of one huge money maker for me, which was through promoting that fast fashion stuff. But at the same time, you know, I think everyone's careers are kind of changing and routes are changing now. So we all need to be a bit more thrifty about maybe new ways we can make money. And what was your second question there? Sorry, I forgot.
Just for yourself, do you ever feel pressure to
Oh,
completely sustainable, like to appease your audience?
like, I don't do it for my audience. I just do it for myself. You know, it's I just love sharing vintage stuff. I love sharing the positivity and the benefit of being able to buy vintage and charity. I love being able to say, look at this gem that you could find in a charity shop, to encourage people to go and do that as well. And I love, you know, to also specifically encourage people to upcycle and to alter things to fit their body better. But I don't really feel pressure for my audience or for my people that follow me to feel that way. I mean, sometimes I don't know if I'm like, I bought new underwear yesterday from Marks and Spencer's, and I don't feel bad about that. It's the first time I bought underwear in 2 years. So I'm like, and like, I was like, I need to buy some new underwear. I'm sorry. Like, I have to, like, I'd been putting it off for ages. And so yesterday I was like, fuck this, I'm just going to go and do it. But I'm not going to lie, when I was in Marks and Spencer's, I was like, kind of like looking around me like, is anyone going to see me? But, you know, that's what I mean. Like, if you have to go and do that kind of stuff like I did, I'm not going to feel guilty about it, you know, because I do so many other things in my life. I've given up tampons now. I'm using a moon cup. Like, I'm, you know, I cycle, I don't drive, I don't take the bus. So I do many other things that I don't necessarily share all the time. And I think everyone just do what they can, that you can do your bit, but don't also feel guilty about not being able to do everything. Try and just do what you can. That would be my thing.
Absolutely.
Advice.
I completely agree. And I think it's just a journey for everyone to implement things in small ways. Like, I have plenty of friends who say that they're never, ever, ever going to try a menstrual cup in their entire life. And that's okay. Like, if
I didn't think I would. Like, I was like, fuck that. But Sorry, I swear all the time, but once you get the hang of it, and I'm not just saying this because I happened to do a paid thing with them recently, but before that I tried it. I started using it a few months ago, and I'd try it, and then I'd be like, no, stuff this, I'm going back to tampons. But now I'm used to it. But listen, the thing is, some people like them and some people don't, so it's fine if you're not using it. So I do want to say that again.
Absolutely. I think it's all a learning curve for everyone, and it's just to have that consciousness. I think that for me, because I asked you guys earlier, for me, sustainability and mindful shopping is just that you're always aware of where your products come from, and if you decide that you have to make that if you can't make one sacrifice, that you're just aware that that's on the list, and that you can maybe think of somewhere else in your life that you can cut something out, or you can do something to help. For a question for Liz, actually, so you just wrapped a shoot that I saw on Instagram with your gorgeous looks, with the number 8 boutique, in Galway, and I was just wondering if there's any other Galway-based charity or vintage shops that you would recommend, considering you're our Galway representative at the moment.
Yeah, so I think the one that everyone kind of is aware of is Public Romance, because it's on Shop Street, and they have some great like reworked jumpers, and they even have swimsuits. So it's very aesthetic pleasing in there and everything. And obviously the charity shops are where you're going to get your true gems. And it's handy because it's just on one street. I know in Dublin, I'm like getting my map out and I'm getting on buses and I'm like trying to find my way. So it's like really good in that sense. There's like Oxfam and all that good stuff. But the one that people don't seem to know about is Planet Retro. And it's kind of, I don't know, location. It's like near the docks or whatever, but that's no use. You can like look it up anyway. But I think Ava, I like recommended it to you and you probably went there. They have like corsets, and the woman was like swept me away. She was like complimenting me, and it was such like a nice experience to go in. And she's like, try everything on, like put on hats.
It's amazing in there. I spent so much money on corsets. Because they just had this one big like rack, and when I spotted it, I was like, and just spent about half an hour on my knees going through each one, and it was just such a good recommendation. So definitely listen to Liz when it comes to charity shops and everything like that.
Yeah, and she even I got a bikini, and it was like absolutely beautiful, because I feel like bikinis is the hardest thing to source. Because in charity shops anyway, I've never found like a nice one. They're just kind of like the granny swimsuits and stuff. But yeah, and she gave me like a little handmade bag with it, and yeah, it was just 10 out of 10. So yeah.
Yeah, bikinis are impossible to find. I've had like the same 2 bikinis since the beginning of time, and can't ever like force myself. I never am like, okay, that's not something I'm ever going to get, because we live in Ireland. But still, it would be nice if this summer, when there was so much swimming happening, I could have like found a new one somewhere sustainable. And I think Tara as well, you have been putting up some incredible posts with a recent find of yours, and you look just stunning. And I think it's really important to promote, like, you know, wearing that kind of swimwear as much as possible. And
well, I have a reveal I would like to show you just quickly. This morning, I found in St. Vincent's and Rathmines an actual bikini with tags on and everything. And it's a tiny bit tight, but I don't care. I'm like, no, I look like a sausage. I don't mind. But that's a first. That's a first in all my life that I've ever found a bikini, and it literally has like the sticker thing on the pants and everything. So I'm delighted.
And it's so cute as well.
Yeah, it's so cute.
Managed to be a cute, and like it's not used before. That's so good. Amazing. I think we can move on to the Depop just quickly for the next 10 minutes. And I want to direct this question at Emily Jane and Isabel Doyle. Your Depop account has just become verified, which is absolutely amazing. Congrats on that. I know how hard you worked to get to that stage in your business. And I was just wondering if you could tell us a little bit about your online shop, like the process of buying clothing, reworking it, and then selling it, like that entire process. How does that work for you guys?
Yeah, do you want to? So basically our clothes go through a bit of a journey before they eventually get up onto our Depop. We first source our clothes, which can be, mostly it's wholesale. So we do a lot of wholesale shopping. So that's kind of like buying in bulk, and just saying, here, I want 50 of this, 20 of that, you know, that kind of way. And they arrive like a week later in a big box. We go through and stuff, and we quality check to make sure none of them are like ripped or stained, because you can get like grade A's or grade B's, but obviously the grade A's are more expensive. And then we also do a bit of hand picking. So you, but with lockdown now, we'd actually booked flights to go over to London and do some hand picking, but obviously that didn't go ahead. So we hand pick over, it's like over Zoom now pretty much. So a place over in Manchester, is it?
Yeah,
I think so.
Manchester.
Birmingham, Manchester. So they like show us, and then we're like, oh, we want that and that and that. So it's, you know what you're getting exactly. And do some charity shopping as well. I think that's like everyone. But
yeah, we kind of prefer hand picking because it gives us, it's more of our style then. So we can kind of stick to a style on our Depop. So then often we'll look at clothes and be like, oh, we could change that. Or, oh, well, I do the altering and Emma Jane tells me what to do. But I have a sewing machine, which is broken at the moment, so I have to get that fixed. But I got it for Christmas and I could not recommend it more. It's so, I used to hand sew everything and I don't know how I did it. But now I've got a sewing machine, so I can like take up hems if I cut something off, and it's so handy. So then when that's all done, we'll model, photograph, edit, post, and then it's on our team.
Yeah, and it's in the post office.
Yeah.
Amazing. I think like some of our members have said that they find it difficult to personalize their Depop feed, and that they have concerns about Depop being legit and not being able to like find good stuff that you can guarantee. I think even my sister I was like, any questions about sustainable fashion? And she's 16. She was like, I just like, every time I want to buy clothes, it's in an emergency situation. I need clothes in the next like 3 days for like, I don't know, an event or something. And she gets stressed like if she buys something on Depop because she's worried it won't come in time or that it will be a scam or something like that. So what would you say to people who have those questions or concerns?
Yeah, well, I think Depop's got the review system in Depop is really good. So you can look in and see, past buyers will give reviews. So normally Depop is generous if it's well made and it's not a scam, they'll give you 5 stars. But which is nice. But it's like quite a positive sphere. Also, I think we're just asking, again, when we're talking about sustainability, we're asking people to try be organized in that like respect, try do your research, try put that little bit of effort in to mean that the outfit you wear in the end is sustainable. Like Depop does take a lot of research and a lot of time because it kind of, again, it's got an algorithm, so it'll figure you out. Some people like the algorithm, some people don't, but even still, it's going to take a while to find something that you like in your price range. In general, I can say we purchase a lot of our clothes on Depop, and we've had very, very few incidents. And on post is super. So if you ask if you can, first of all, if you need it instantly, often we do a lot of meetups when we're buying clothes. It saves a lot on postage. It's a lot more reliable because you can check it there and then.
Just if you say it in like a very like safe location, obviously. So like front gate to Trinity, front gate to Stephen's
front
Green.
gates of Trinity is
It's like bright or something.
Please don't go to their house. But that's also a good option. And then on post is really great. They tend to get the stuff there next day or at the 2 days. I know it's been a bit busier with the pandemic. Everyone's posting everything, but just be organized, and we think it's reliable, and you'll be okay.
Yeah. Amazing. I think that's really good advice. Especially for me, I got Depop only at the start of quarantine. But my very first few weeks, I was like, this is terrible. Everything is like old clothing I don't want. But it's now the algorithm is kicking in really well, and I'm getting lots of really good recommendations. I just want to ask you guys as well. So Depop has grown steadily in its worth and value since it was founded, and it's now up to like 20 million users, which is insane. Do you think it's a good way to sustainably tackle the fast fashion industry, and do you account the rise in the rise of Depop as reflective of a global interest in conserving the planet and a surging consciousness in the harms of fast fashion? Like, do you think it's reflective of maybe good moral values kind of sweeping the planet, hopefully?
Yeah, well, I think it's like becoming more obvious to everyone that it's becoming now cool and trendy to wear vintage and secondhand clothing. So that is that's when you ask us about is it matching that whole movement of that sustainable movement? Yeah, it is. Why we think is it's going to last, and why we really like the sustainable side of Depop is if you look at a fast fashion garment, the majority of time the end result will be a landfill or just in a bin somewhere or ripped and never worn and left at the back of a wardrobe. If you look at Depop, it's constant circulation. When you're finished with something, it goes back to the start with someone else. And I know not everything sells on Depop, but the majority of things would sell on Depop.
Yeah.
So it's this constant cycle. So with fast fashion and with these big chains that produce low quality products that are only meant to be worn a couple of times, the end result is pollution and not sustainable results. But with Depop, it's a constant circle. So that's why we really think it will last. Circles don't end.
Absolutely, and I completely agree on that front. I have gotten some lovely things on Depop so far in my use of it, so I really think it's a great platform, and I really would recommend everyone try it, if you haven't already. Just as to like kind of finish up our Depop segment of the conversation, I was just wondering if any of the panelists have any bits that they've gotten off Depop that might be their favorite thing, and if you all use Depop, just if you have any pieces that you'd like to give a shout out to, has been like an amazing thing that you've gotten.
I love Depop. It wrecks my head sometimes, but I do love it other times. Like last night, I was looking at this Moschino jacket, and the girl posted, this person posted, being like, "It needs a dry clean," but like, you know, and I was like, "Well, just give it a dry clean then before selling it." I was like, but that kind of stuff just makes me laugh. But I think once you're patient with Depop, you know, you really get to love it. And one of the best things I found was probably one of the first things I ever bought off Depop about 4 or 5 years ago. And it was a Louis Vuitton Takashi Murakami speedy bag, and it came with verification, all that kind of stuff. And that I just got at the most amazing price. It was just before I think a Kardashian wore it at some stage, and the price went up really a lot. And so that I've also gotten some Visor Dior sunglasses from Depop before. But you need to kind of, I mean, people need to keep bear in mind that, you know, everything is secondhand, so it's not going to be in it's not going to be in perfect condition. But you can always get things altered if you need to. Big thing I will say is to make sure you look at reviews of the sellers, because that's something I sometimes forget to do. And I remember over quarantine, there was this particular person I was buying a suit off, and she just was spoofing me around so much. But this is rare that this happens. Like, this isn't all the time. This one, like, all my other times have been great. And then when I looked at our reviews, they were all awful, and I was like, well, why didn't I just look at the reviews? It was totally my own fault. So I do love Depop. I think it gets a bit of slack sometimes, but I do think it is a really great space. It is tough for plus size. I know it's hard to get larger size on there, but if you're below size, you know, 14 lower, you can get amazing stuff on there. And if you're size 16 up, you just have to be a bit more patient. Unfortunately, there's not that much stuff that's 18 up, which is unfortunate, but I think it is a really great platform anyway. So hopefully there'll be more of that kind of sizing down the line.
Absolutely. Liz, do you have anything to add, or any Depop finds that you're particularly proud of?
Yeah, I like have some here. It's like this is like lime green pants that I've been like dreaming about for a while. So I absolutely love them, and they're just like so comfortable, and they're from Urban Outfitters, and she sold them to me for like 15. So the thing is as well, like you could see the exact same pair of jeans and someone would be selling them for 50, or like someone selling, so like, yeah, definitely like do your research and like get the best find. And yeah, there's been a few times as well where someone has spoofed me around and they didn't reply, but you can contact Depop, which I didn't know about, and get your refund, so that's really handy too. So I would highly recommend to your friend.
Amazing. I am obsessed with those green pants. Oh my god, it's crazy. If you manifest an item of clothing, it'll come to you.
Yeah,
It's gonna manifest really well.
A big thing is patience. Like that's what secondhand shopping and thrifting, it's all about patience. I think we've been spoiled by having this instant life these days, having Amazon and ASOS next day delivery. That's not how life should actually work, really, to be sustainable. So I think once we get that kind of mindset out of our heads, then, you know, it can be really rewarding.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think that's why I admire influencers who choose sustainable ways of getting fashion way more, because it just shows that there's a passion there that allows for persistence and patience in finding pieces. And it also shows that every piece is like quite important to them and is something that they've like handpicked or manifested into existence in probably in a difficult way, because there's a lot of searching that's required. So I really admire you, Tara, and any other influencer who is sustainable in the way in their fashion, and anything that they wear, their fits are sustainable. I also just love the look. It's a great look.
Yeah, it all looks deadly. Like, I don't know why people wouldn't be into it. It's great. And it's so great that you've got the high street now trying to mimic it, which isn't great. But anyway, don't even get me started on that topic.
That is super annoying, and that's something I also noticed over quarantine, which was another thing that kind of compelled me to like run this panel, because it's like it is that arts block look is a massive inspired by vintage clothing and old clothing and this kind of like interesting 80s 90s clothing. And if you can get old clothes or like clothes that look old from fast fashion brands, there's no way to tell who's cheating and who's not. So, you know, that I think it's really important that you said that, and that's absolutely something that's happening right now. But we just gotta fight it, girls. We just gotta fight it. So finally, I think we're in our last 8 minutes, so I'll be asking a couple of questions that were put into the chat, and also asking, just as a quick finish up, do any of you ever upcycle clothes, and do you have any stories of clothing that you've upcycled and that have turned out well or that have turned out terribly? Because I know I've definitely ruined old clothes. I came home from Dublin for lockdown, and I forgot all my clothes in Dublin because I was like, 2 weeks, this will be done, and all my old like 14-year-old self clothes were in my wardrobe, and I was like, forget this, and I spent like weeks just tearing everything up and making new clothes, and everything's kind of ruined, but I still wear it nonetheless. But do you guys have any stories like that? And maybe we can go to the Doyle Twins first.
Well, this is a bit of a sore spot. We had the most amazing like purple and black mesh overlay midi skirt, like 90s, so pretty.
It had a matching blazer to go with it.
It had a matching blazer. We were obsessed. And I decided it was like an extra large or something, and we're like an 8-ish. Yeah. So I decided, yeah, it's fine. I can take it in. It's so easy. I know how to use the sewing machine. I don't know how to take clothes in. So there's tears at the end of it. But it's fine. We put it in like the St. Vincent de Paul actually takes scraps of material as well, which then it
was scraps at this stage.
Yeah, like it was scraps. It's fine. It went to a sustainable end. But
so annoying. How about you, Liz?
Yeah, when I started, I like looked up on YouTube how to like upcycle easily, fast, quick, and I got this glue which I just wouldn't recommend at all, and it was like this lovely silk dress that I was like, oh, it'll be perfect two-piece, and it was like 3 a.m. I got a notion. I was like, let's do it, and yeah, I glued it the wrong way and it's just a hot mess. So yeah.
Oh, so annoying. There's nothing worse. How about you, Tara? I saw that you cropped like a brown turtleneck recently on your TikTok, which turned out stunning. So maybe you're the expert on this.
Well, with cropping, I mean, I went through a big phase of cropping years ago when I just decided to crop all my band t-shirts. But I will recommend, now I've learned my lesson now, so I kind of know better where to cut, but always measure and always cut below where you think you should, because the amount of times I put it on and it's just over my boobs, and I'm like, well, that's great. Now it's just this weird necklace t-shirt thing. So and that's happened to so many clothes. It's really annoying. So that would be my biggest thing, is like, you know, don't even when you measure, like, I don't know, the bit of chalk or something on your top, just cut below that first, and then, you know, just take your time with it, because yeah, there's nothing worse than when you just can't go back. Like, it's quite heartbreaking when you can't reverse something, and most of the time it's quite hard to reverse something unless you're some amazing costume designer, then, you know, then you can try and make something brand new from it, but I'm definitely not there.
Absolutely, I'm the exact same. I always overcrop, and I particularly, there was this one like lovely like pink Nike shirt that I got in a charity shop in Rathmines. The charity shops there are incredible, and I overcropped to the point that it was just under my boobs, and then I went on a cycle, and on this like really dangerous road, could have died, and I had to be in my head like, Maeve, you would rather flash someone and hold on to that bike than die, but from the fact that you're trying to like pull down your top toward the traffic. I had to have that conversation with myself and say I'd rather flash someone then die. So that was my awakening, that I had to stop overcropping, and also don't wear crop tops without a bra on a bike. Yeah, that's tips. Thank you so much, guys. I think there's just a few questions for a few of you guys. There's a question for the Doyle twins. There's someone wondering how you source your stock sustainably. I think you may have answered that, but
yeah. Well, we've our three main routes are handpicking from wholesalers in the UK, bulk buying from wholesalers in the UK, and charity shops.
Yeah, so it's all sustainable, all secondhand normally.
All secondhand, yeah. And then sometimes we'll throw a few personal things from our own wardrobe.
Yeah.
Wearing.
But we've got our 50 cents out of definitely.
Yeah,
50 cents though.
50 cents. That's a great. I'm actually gonna remember that.
Yeah, it's a good rule.
And then we have one for Tara. Does Tara have any top tips for getting the period stains out of underwear? In brackets, love you, Tara.
I actually did a thread about this on Twitter recently, because I just like the amount of fitted sheets that have blood stains on them. It's very disheartening. But a really great one of my favorite products to use, and this is hashtag non-spun, but it is that Vanish stain remover. That shit is amazing. Like, it'll get, like, I got my hair dye on my boyfriend's jumper the other day, and I almost died because I was like, oh my god, I was like, I can't believe this, because I accidentally ruined a lot of his t-shirts by putting them on a really hot wash years ago when we first started going out. Don't do hot washes, you know, environmentally friendly and also good for not being in trouble with your boyfriend. But the Vanish literally just gets those of stains removed. Put it under really cold water. Also aspirin, if you crush up an aspirin tablets, and depending how big the stain is how many tablets of aspirin you use. If you crush that up and then rub it into the stain, as well as bicarb soda is really great for that as well. So they would be my, like, I feel like you can always get a period stain out. You just try those kind of different options. And I'll retweet my thread actually, if you want to go to my Twitter. Tara Stewart DJ is my Twitter handle, and it's like a big long thread of different things, if those options I didn't say, or if you forgot what I said. Always to the point, never me. Sorry.
It's amazing. No, we love it. I think I'll leave this final one for Liz. Can you recommend any Irish sustainable fashion brands? If you can, Liz, it's okay.
Yeah. So my two favorite ones that are based in Galway, of course, and that they always have like flea markets, and I know in the lockdown that wasn't feasible anymore, but they have Instagram, so little-fits, and she sells these most like gorgeous fleeces, and there's like cow prints and yeah, I think one of her TikToks blew up the other day, and like I just saw her account blow up, and I was like, this is what she deserves. And Lemon Queen Vintage as well is another great Galway sustainable.
What was the first one you said there? Sorry, Liz.
Little LIL-bits.
Oh, fab.
Oh, that's so cute. And if anyone wants any other recommendations, Liz has so many little like Instagram like bits. Just she has you just put up loads and loads of recommendations for Depop's that you like, and like Irish sustainable brands that you like. So if you want any more information like that, and also just to enjoy her aesthetically pleasing looks, go to @prelovingit with 2 T's on Instagram, and she's a very great following there, and it's only growing every day. You've got like I think 11.5k followers now, Liz. That's amazing. So everyone go follow her, and also because we're wrapping up, everyone make sure to go follow the Doyle Twins on Instagram. On Instagram and on Depop, and go buy their stuff because it's actually stunning. And everyone make sure to listen to Dirty Laundry by Tara Stewart. And which night is that on again, Tara? Could you just
so all the episodes are out now, but there's one more episode coming up on Thursday, which is going to be the last one, but all the rest of the episodes are on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, all the podcast places. So yeah.
And you also have your own 2FM radio show. Would you like to say something about that just quickly?
Yes, so it's a new music show, so if that's your vibe, it's on Mondays to Thursdays from 7 till 10 p.m. and then Sunday nights from 9 till 10 p.m.
Amazing. So everyone should go and look at all those different, like those wonderful panelists. Thank you so much, girls, for that incredibly informative and fun discussion about sustainable fashion. You guys are so great.
Thanks so much for having me.
Having us.
Thank you, May.
Of course, anytime. I'm honored to talk to all of you, and thank you so much for agreeing to be part of this. And thank you, Eva, for being my co-host. If you are interested in, this is for everyone who is here from Trinity. If you're interested in being, or anyone else if you want to, we're doing a quiz tonight. Not another Zoom quiz, but another Zoom quiz. Tonight at 6 p.m. So that's our next event, and there are loads of other panels or other feature panels. This week we've got one on Wednesday called Racism in Irish Education, which features lots of like Irish academics, and that's in collaboration with Afro-Caribbean SOC. So that's really important and interesting to go to, and we're really excited for that. And then we've got a really cool one on Thursday, which is called the Irish Women in Music, and that's all about promoting females who are working in the Irish music industry and all of their music, and that features plenty of female artists like Roisin O and Amy and Eve Bell and Fee Music, and also a wonderful academic who is a specialist in feminist theories of music, Dr. Anne-Marie Hanlon. So that's sure to be a great discussion. And I'm so sorry, I'm done plugging. That's the most ridiculous I've ever done in my life. Oh my god, I'm speaking so fast. It's like the end of a YouTube video.
Well done.
Subscribe. Okay, amazing. I think I'll end our wonderful panel here at 4:02. Wow, timekeeping queen. Thank you so much to everyone, to you guys for coming, and to everyone else who watched. You guys are amazing, and we will see you at the other events. So thank you so much, guys. Have a great day.
Bye, guys. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.